Alden, I'm on. Are you on? Alden, do I exist?
I think that you have successfully returned from, I guess, the Matrix, because it's 99.
Yes, we committed to the bit. If you're watching live, you know. If you're watching later, there was an entire other episode that didn't exist. It was lost. But this is Anytime with Ken and Alden. I think I'm Ken. I know that's Alden. And I think we're live.
I'm checking my notes here. I think we are. And we've got people in the comments that are here. Matthew Stokes, Michael McCarcel, Eli's here, 8984M, Will McLean. Yes, we're good.
We're
Hello.
good. People see me. People hear. Dan is here for Food in My Beard. Matthew Stokes says Control-Alt-Delete. Michael McCarcel says Y2K happened. It was
a little late.
Will McLean had my favorite. Ken committed to the bit using dial-up internet for the 1999 episode. That is true. Hey, everybody, Anytime with Ken and Alden is looking back today at 1999. What a time, what a year. And it's, in honor of a little movie being re-released in theaters now, Alden. This isn't the Phantom Menace episode, but it kind of is.
Yes, it was on my mind because you're going today. Joseph Scrimshaw is going today. Nikki Kumar, all of our friends, collaborators. I'm going. I'm bringing my two eldest nephews who have never seen the film, not even on Disney Plus.
Wow.
So they're going to be able to check it out and see Duel of the Fates the way it's meant to be seen. And so in that, I started thinking, man, like 99 just rocks. And it's well documented that it's the greatest movie year ever. There's a whole book about that, called that. So we'll talk about films, news, music, culture, all types of stuff, and as well as a round of the Generations game that we love to play here.
Yeah, I'm excited to play the Generations game today. I was working on some questions this morning, a lot of stuff. This wasn't going to be a beanie day for me either. I was going to put my wig on and kind of, Trumpify my hair as I do. And I ran out of time. Crazy morning, ran out of time. So, but I don't know. It looks, I don't know if beanies were exactly all the rage back then. They're kind of timeless, I hope. Probably not. So. But I just figure it works. We're going back 25 years. I wouldn't have worn this 25 years ago because I had a full head of hair. But I feel, hello, fellow students.
I think that it works for you, though. You've always been able to balance, I'm an esteemed broadcaster, but sometimes it's a denim jacket or a beanie or whatever. I try to do that too. Like when I was working full time at iHeartRadio, I would, sometimes dress a little bit, but I always had just like jackets and, sneakers. Like it's radio stations are not glamorous institutions.
No, I am happy though. Do you see this one DJ that's out of Chicago that's always on the socials, on Instagram Reels a lot? Maria Palmer.
Oh, she's got short black pixie cut.
Short black hair. Yeah.
She's clever. Yeah.
She's clever. I first, my I'm old and don't get it hackles came up the first time I saw, because I thought she was just making fun of radio, which is totally something people should do. But then I realized, oh no, she actually is on air at Chicago's Rock 95 or whatever it is. And I got to say, I'm somewhat of a fan. I like what she does. It's a great use of modern technology on a ancient medium radio. Yeah. I love that there. I don't know. Should we switch? Look at this. Boom. Ooh. Does that really mess things up? I don't know.
It's weird.
It is weird. You know what's weird about it? Because it looks like I'm facing off that way. I don't know.
It looks like I'm facing this way because my mic hangs over that side of my desk. Yep. Yeah, that is weird. We're such creatures of habit.
We are. It's like you and I are sleeping on the our sides of the bed in this relationship. A lot of stuff going on. We're here. This is one of those shows that we're absolutely could go anywhere. We can talk about what we want. And as you know, Alden, it's not there's some days where it's like, it's not an ignoring of anything in the world. It's just like a process and dealing with it and giving your soul a little bit of a breath. At least that's where I am. I know it's been another trying week, but
that's it, man. Yeah, that is it. Like I was telling you before, like I'm arguably socially and politically angrier than I have been in maybe 3-4 years. But it got to the point yesterday where I was like, I need to make an active choice. I was already salty as hell on the show last week, just about people. I was like, so if I go down this path, Star Wars, if I go down this path, I might not come back. I was like, so I listened to Dua Lipa's new record, baby, Radical Optimism. Optimism.
Mm-hmm.
Out today, 11 new songs. Listen to it front to back a couple times before the show.
Yeah.
Get into a zone. Trying to just focus on this right here. I think that's also part of why we're going back to a year from the past, because it's not that bad didn't happen. Bad surely did. But
yeah.
For this hour-ish today, we're going to check out and
what
observe.
And you have some questions planned for 99 more than even I do, because you were alive, but I lived it, man. There's some truth. I agree with you. One of the big changes in me over the last couple of years is looking back and actually trying to understand points in history and get a more complete 360-degree picture of it, because either you don't remember, you weren't paying attention. 99, I was young, I was hopeful, kind of, but it doesn't mean bad stuff were going on. But the world itself in 1999, things changed. Like, things changed at the end of this year. I want to highlight the great doc Time Bomb Y2K on Max. It's a deeper look at Y2K, which will come up today. It shows that it was a thing. Don't think it was just a nothing burger. It was a thing. They fixed it, but also it ends in this really emotional. Bittersweet doesn't even come. It ends where you're like, oh God, the next 25 years are amazingly difficult and trying at times. Again, not that it wasn't. The Kosovo War was happening, and all this stuff, earthquakes, everything. And I highly suggest people watch it to get a feel of maybe what we'll talk about today, of that feeling of 99 that's gone.
Yeah, I mean, 1999 being what it was, this end of the millennia, and then going into this new one, that whatever that could have been only lasts a year, because then, obviously 2001, the surveillance state is born, and a new paranoia sets in, and my children's age group of us, I was in kindergarten, like all of that changes, and 99 is like where I maybe have a couple of my first memories that stick in my brain. But it's interesting for me because I like you said, I was alive, but I didn't live it. I mean, we have Eli in the chat from the In a Galaxy podcast who was not alive, so
God bless God bless
just log off, Eli, I guess.
God bless
but I mean, I saw my first, we'll talk about movies, but I saw my first movie in 99, at least that my mother can remember, which was Toy Story 2. In theaters anyway. And it's a cultural thing. I think it's the coolest sounding year, 1999. Like, it's just, it has something like to it.
1999. Yeah.
And that song, honestly, is an incredible banger. Great to throw on at parties. This is an interesting year. Very, very exciting.
Interesting year indeed. But Alden, that means we really have to ask an important question today for looking back at 1999. We really have a deep, thoughtful, poignant question. What Ben Affleck are we?
Well, here's the thing. We used a 1999 Affleck when I brought up Dogma. So then I was like, okay, let's not go to a Ben Affleck role. Let's go to Ben Affleck, the icon. And I realized that a photographer some of you may have heard of, Annie Leibovitz, shot a Vanity Fair cover with Mr. Affleck
Look at
in 99. And this image right here is so funny, just because this is the peak of, like, he had done his, like, and he still would do, Smith films, indie, realizing he's funny. He's already got the Oscar for writing at this point with Matt. And then it really dawned on people, he's hot.
He's a hot young man.
This guy's
a hot young man. It was Damon Moore, the thinking man's sex symbol, and this was just the beefcake cheesecake. I don't know.
I honestly do think so. And what's funny is that, like, the headline, you can't really see it because it's small, but this cover says, like, a bunch of things, a bunch of different celebrity names, and then it says, like, we're gonna talk to Ben about, like, Gwyneth and that whole Matt thing, and it's like, people back then were already fascinated by this friendship.
It was. Oh God, yeah, it was everything. It was everything. That's why them kind of getting back together. We talked a little bit after the Super Bowl of them kind of showing up in things. The Super Bowl commercial. It just felt good. It was like, not that they were ever not friends, but it's just like, they're together again.
Yeah.
the tag team champions of the world reunited.
So wholesome. And one of these days, Ben Affleck's gonna get on this show. I don't know when or how. I will tell you this. I
Yeah.
might have mentioned this on the show before, so if I'm repeating myself and you're hearing this, I apologize. But I was fortunate enough to meet the man. And I will say, and as much as you can gather a vibe from somebody in 60 seconds, he is very much like happy to be in on the joke, I feel, which I think the Super Bowl commercial made that very clear too. But like I met Affleck, got to shake his hand, told him he was the bomb in Phantoms, and he laughed and like knew immediately that it was a Kevin joke. And like he's very, very nice. So
yeah.
Ben, you have a standing invitation.
We'll get him on. I think he's such a it's weird. We're approaching like 30 years with Affleck as a society.
So weird, dude. That's a weird thing about looking back at the 90s or the 80s, but realizing that a generation that was never old in my mind, because like as painful as it is to say, Harrison Ford, for example, has always been old in my life.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm 28, so you know, 80 minus 28, still an older man. So, but there are people that I never thought of as old, and then they show up to things and there's a little gray, and I'm like, whoa, what happened there?
This is a great. We'll dive into more in 1999. It's a generational thing. And I apologize for maybe talking on surface level physical things and physical like attractiveness in terms of stereotypical views. There's a weird thing that exactly what you say. When you come up, so for me, 87, 88, you'd see a performer, and it'd be like for me like a female rock star or something, and it'd be like, oh, Grace Slick as an example, Starship and everything, late 80s, like, oh, she's an older lady and everything. Then you see a picture of her in the 60s and it's just like, whoa, like what? And it's like, that was 15 years ago, man. And she's still attractive now. She was attractive then. But you have this dividing line that you forever live in. And then you go back, and it is, other than Bob Duvall looks 60 when he's 20. But yeah, it's a weird thing, and every generation goes through. I know exactly what you're saying, but to watch it happen in front of you with the generation is interesting.
Or you mentioned Bob Duvall. How about Steve Martin, who and I'm supposed to give you a quick book report. I forgot. About
you watched Steve. Yes,
Steve, a documentary in 2 pieces, which honestly is like really, really good. It's really just good. It's really well made. He's a guy that again was eternally quote unquote old looking, even when he was still kind of baby face because of the gray, and then straight up white hair that he's had my whole life. He's a guy that transcended eras, and it gets into that, and the 90s in particular, of having walked away from what he had and moved into these other things. And we talked a little last episode about like Father of the Bride, and how, like, people might not get it anymore. But I think that that documentary is really good. Highly recommend that. It's on Apple. What really got me the most was, I mean, a lot of the dad stuff. I didn't realize that he ever felt that way. I hadn't read his book, so I didn't know he felt ostracized by his dad. Not that his dad like abused him, but that he always felt like a disappointment.
You should read Born Standing Up. As someone who suffers and struggles and deals with father issues, it is harsher than the doc let on.
Okay. Oh yeah, I'll have to put that on the list then for sure. That was all compelling. And also, can I just say, like, I hope one day to be old, sitting on 2 separate couches with my buddy with 2 tablets going over bits, the way that him and Martin Short do. There's one where he says to Martin Short, you know why you weren't included in this year's In Memoriam? No good films. And that made me laugh so hard. It's such a simple joke.
It was great.
They're great. They are one of the greatest best friend duos.
That's a merger of the years, and I think people overlooked that. The Three Amigos was kind of the first time they had met, which is a fantastic thing. Well, I'm glad you watched it, man. It's one of my favorites. Steve's always one of my favorites, and in light of some other, including someone that appeared in that doc, watching older comedians fight with the current societal structures, Steve is not that guy, and I absolutely love that and respect him.
Yes, we are not going to spend this episode talking about Jerry Seinfeld, although Seinfeld, I'm sure, will come up Well, when did Seinfeld end? Will it come up in a 99 conversation?
98, but late 99 into 2000. But 99 was when the documentary Comedian comes out, which I would still recommend to people. And it ends with Cosby, but I would still recommend it because it is fascinating and one of the best looks at stand-up comedy. And which I did a 20 minutes of coffee that ended up going 50 minutes on Jerry this week on my personal channel. Go check it out. I have a lot of disappointment and anger and frustration with him, but there's also some things that he said that are not true. But like he so conflated issues, it was weird. It's just a weird, out of touch 7-year-old man, which is disappointing because I have been a fan. But he hasn't. This isn't new. He's been going this direction for a long time.
And that's what I wanted to say. So I'm glad that you jumped in with that with your 20 minutes of coffee because Ken already covered it. He knows Jerry better than I do historically, and if we go down the rant about guys getting old, then this is going to be a 2-hour episode. But it's it was an interesting week to have watched Steve and then see Jerry doing this press tour and being like, you guys are so different.
And
what's funny is that Jerry's in the Steve doc.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's in there a lot. He's always been an arrogant prick, quite frankly. But I want to be clear. Some of the stuff, like when I say there's some truth in there. It's not truth about woke or a change in comedy. There's some truth about the making of films and the corporate angle on creativity and stuff. That he's speaking some truths, but he's weirdly crushing it into social issues. And the history of entertainment will show you that more cancellations have definitely not been from people who would call themselves woke. It's just bizarre. It was a bizarre
specifically interview. Too. We're now talking about it, but like what's especially funny that the internet pointed out in 100 different ways. I texted you and I was like, well, I would just love to ask Jerry about what he thinks about like Abbott Elementary and like all the sitcoms that are killing right now, Young Sheldon. But specifically for Jerry Seinfeld, the man, to say those things when some of his best friends and legendary collaborators are Larry David and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who did years-long characters where they are awful people, awfully offensive people, and succeeded. And everyone loves Curb and everyone loves Veep. And it's like, how can you are you not paying attention to that?
It's a thing. It's a thing. My buddy David McKay says he's got the wrong conclusions to correct observations, and that's absolutely true. Yeah, he's got some. It's just weird, and he's setting himself up to have a scapegoat because his movie's not good, and it's got to be.
Well, that's the thing about like you saw Jay Leno was at the red carpet for it, and like found Jerry, and they did he interrupted his interview, and he was like. Leno's telling him, this is what America needs right now. Just a straight up comedy. And it's like watching these two talk about what America needs is pretty awesome in a dumb way.
It's awesome. And look, I've met Jay several times. He's nice. He's just they're both suffering. They both suffer. Like I now I'm going to really go off on it again. But like when Jerry said, hey, back in the day, you used to come home and you used to watch comedies and All in the Family and MASH and Cheers. Cheers it was mostly more comedy than issues. But to not engage with the fact that MASH and All in the Family are completely left-leaning progressive shows that use comedy to speak on issues and just be like, they're just jokes. That's one of my biggest effing pet peeves in the world, in the comedy world. I'm just telling jokes. You're not. And see, Alden, let's go back to 1999. It was
1999 where so Seinfeld had already ended. But if you want, I mean, would you like to lead with news, or do you want to stick on TV? We're flexible here.
Let's go with TV first, because looking at some of the news things, I'm like, that's
it was a little dark that year.
It's a little dark. It's a little dark.
Yeah, that year was a little dark. So we're already on TV, so let's stick there. I pulled up the charts. Make it easy. We'll go wherever. I have pulled up Nielsen, something that used to matter. I have pulled up Nielsen's charts for the 99 to 2000 season. There are things that I would like to shout out that aren't here, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, which were a little more culty. So like that stuff was already happening at the time in a big bad way. But in terms of the top, I'm going to rattle them off. We got Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, ER, Friends. One of my favorite shows is Frasier. Monday Night Football, of course, is, a constant in our world. 60 Minutes, a constant. The Practice, Touched by an Angel, Law and Order, Everybody Loves Raymond, Jesse. We had NYPD Blue, Dharma and Greg, Becker, Judging Amy, Jag, Drew Carey Show, Providence, 60 Minutes 2, The West Wing, Spin City, Family Law, Malcolm in the Middle, and SVU. So it kind of is a foundational year. A lot of that bled well into the 2000s and 2010s.
It's we're still in that old structure of television, and I think there's some good things going on there, including long form storytelling. I think that's something we'll talk on this channel soon enough. That is not forever change, hopefully, but it's definitely changed. Now it's funny. I'm laughing when you're reading those names because I'm like I'm just hearing and seeing in my head the 15-second network TV promos for it. This week on Dharma and Greg, Becker, Sundays at night. Like it's just it immediately transported back to that stuff.
Yeah. Eli puts out the West Wing just hitting its stride. Yeah,
Sopranos begin. Yeah,
Sopranos starts. Yeah, I mean that was 99 was as much as it was for movies. Like television was realizing like, oh, maybe we're not the B medium. Maybe this is not the lesser thing. And then Sopranos really solidified. So Sopranos and Sex and the City, which was already on.
To be clear,
begin this golden age. I think historically.
No, it's. I'm not a TV historian. There's some others out there with more knowledge on it, and I want to highlight Ethan Truman's comment in a second. But you did kind of really see it in real time, and it was weird to kind of watch it first. And what I'm talking about is what you're saying, where TV, the second class medium, starts to rise, and I would say even during the golden era of the 80s, 80s, but into the 90s with the Seinfelds, later the Friends, it was always like TV, and it felt like TV. But when people like Tom Selleck, Brad Pitt show up on Friends, it was Selleck, of course, comes from Magnum PI, to be clear, but like especially Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts on Friends, it was like, what are these movie stars doing there? It was water cooler talk, and Bruce to see it start to transfer a bit and happen in real time. It's something I think about often because we take it for granted now almost. The name's a little controversial right now, but Alec Baldwin being a regular on 30 Rock was like, oh, is he slumming? Is he hurting? As opposed to a performer doing a great role.
I mean, another, obviously controversial and even criminal name, like Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey's House of Cards on Netflix was the thing where everyone was like, oh, the internet thing got him. Like, we can do anything. Like, we can really do anything now. And now we don't bat an eye. Colin Farrell's got a show. Benedict Cumberbatch has another show. Like, it just happens all the time now,
and it's great. And I as there's some things that I could bemoan a little bit about the industry changing in terms of storytelling and the disruption of the industry with streaming and everything. I think that's something that's great, that actors can go where the roles are, where they want to go.
Yeah,
I do want to though. Ethan says when wasn't Rob Lowe being on West Wing considered a step down? Not a step down, but not only a step down, but a comeback, because he's had some stuff in his past. But also Robert Downey Jr. On Ally McBeal. But Ethan also says this: oh man, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was a total phenomenon at the time. From what I remember, I was 8. Remember watching it every night with my family. He ain't lying. Like I'm glad this is part of the 1999 conversation. Part of that, we don't have this water cooler thing anymore, and I don't know if we ever will. I don't think it's possible. I think it happens socially, social media wise. A meme is that dress gold or black or whatever that was. That's the closest thing we have to what this was, where it was everyone wanted to be home by 8 o'clock to watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, especially like the first week or so. It's insane to think. Good old the late Regis Philbin had America in the palm of his hands with this silly little game show. It was whispered, talked about. Everyone had a thought on it. Everyone had watched. It's I think forgotten a little bit with time, the power of that.
And it's like, also not to be like, oh, we're so much dumber now, although that is a conversation, but to have done it in a thing that was based in education in some way, or at least based in general knowledge. Like, they were not on there asking questions that were, because there was no social media. It wasn't like, let's ask something dumb just to get you to laugh or react. You legitimately watched that and learned about all of the core subjects in life. And it was not at all ever talking down or trying to undermine. It wasn't like, oh, isn't it dumb? Look at these nerds. Like, no, it was like they were heavy hitting smart people playing for big money, and it was taken seriously. I mean, the spotlights and the like, it was like serious. It was serious business.
I love that. I miss it. I do love game shows. I grew up on them in the golden age and being homesick from school and watching Price is Right and everything. They're still fun to me. I'll still watch a game show every now and then. I like it.
They are fun. I know that I believe Travis Kelce, one of the Kelce's, is going to host now some sort of reboot. I think it's Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, but maybe a new version, something like that.
Is it like Travis, who's Taylor Swift Travis, or Jason, the retired offensive lineman? Please tell me.
I can't remember which one it is. I don't mean
you're like I don't know which one is who. One has a bigger beard, the other doesn't.
Yeah, one of them helped Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania, so he's my favorite.
That's Jason. That's Jason. Yeah. That's Jason Kelce.
Yeah. Like so television. If anybody has a favorite show or TV moment from '99 or any '99 memory, I'll repeat this as we go into different topics. But throw in things. Nikki with a great one here. Nikki Kumar, who you're going to see this evening in Hollywood. Watching Phantom Menace. Homie who called his dad to tell him he's about to win $1 million might still be the greatest TV moment in recent memory. You're not wrong, man. That is a baller move to make it look like, because again, that's not a show with theatricality, but he added that. He knew I've got this lifeline and I know it. Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun. God, I used to hate back in the Schmodown day where you'd have all the people take the repeat a question because they knew it was drama, and like Alice and I at the desk just like answer the damn question, answer the effing question. I got to go to the bathroom. I'm hungry. Answer the question. I'll see Nikki tonight and I'll give him a big hug. Great stuff. Yeah, no, it's films is a historic year, but it's a very interesting, wonderful time for TV too.
Yeah, and you know what? Since you mentioned it, let's go to movies. I'm going to once again rattle things off, and this might be truly the most impressive list. This is IMDb sorting by popularity, but don't take the order too seriously, anybody. It's not a ranking. We have The Talented Mr. Ripley, The Matrix, Fight Club, The Green Mile, American Beauty, The Mummy, The Sixth Sense, Eyes Wide Shut, 10 Things I Hate About You, Star Wars, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, American Pie, The Blair Witch Project, Magnolia, Big Daddy, Office Space, Galaxy Quest, The Virgin Suicides, Cruel Intentions, Varsity Blues, Girl Interrupted, Blast from the Past, Notting Hill, Tarzan, Dogma, She's All That, The Boondock Saints, Payback, The Thomas Crown Affair, Toy Story 2, Sleepy Hollow, Double Jeopardy, Election, Existence, Drop Dead Gorgeous, But I'm a Cheerleader, Deep Blue Sea, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, the first one, Bicentennial Man, The Insider, The 13th Warrior, Being John Malkovich, The Bone Collector, The Ninth Gate,
Bone Collector, yes,
Jawbreaker, Go, Never Been Kissed, The World Is Not Enough, Romance, The Iron Giant, and finally number 50, Audition. That's the top 50. There are 50 more that I'm not reading, and wow.
It's insane. There's some names, even the ones that, like I reacted to Bone Collector. I was a big Angelina Jolie fan. I still like her, but back in the day, definitely one of my favorites, Girl Interrupted and Bone Collector. Yeah, that was a movie I saw in theaters. Had great memories of. It's a drama, but her and Denzel Washington and everything. Like it was just hit after hit after hit, or a movie that brought you out to the theater. You know me, my thing is I don't watch movies anymore. I don't go to the movie theater. Yeah. I think of the 50 you just read, I think I saw 45 in the theater.
It's crazy. Oh, by the way, this right here, David McKay's right. The first one is International Man of Mystery. Yeah,
I didn't want to trip you up with a well, actually.
That's okay. Yeah, the second one has Heather Graham. The first one is
Elizabeth Hurley.
Elizabeth Hurley. It's Vanessa, Felicity, and then
Did I answer that? Did I answer that too fast?
You definitely were passionate about it. Ethan Sherman, I want to make something clear. You're right about this. The presentation of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is dramatic, but Regis and the contestants were dry as hell. But we like Regis for being dry as hell. He was a grandpa.
Sure. I mean, hold your tongue a little bit there. Regis would jump around like the best of them.
I don't remember Regis for zingers.
Regis was high energy. You
I
didn't
don't know,
watch
man.
Regis and Kathy
It might
Lee growing up, and it
that
shows.
might be what it is. Yeah, like I came up and Regis was already had Kelly. You know what I mean?
Oh God, you didn't. That's right. You don't even know. Oh my God.
Yeah,
And
Regis
when
and Kelly, and yeah.
Frank Gifford cheated on Kathy Lee, and they dealt with it on the show, and she cried, and oh my God.
But yeah, so
I weep for
yeah,
the youth not growing up with Regis and Kathy Lee.
David pointing that out is actually good though, because that means that Austin Powers already existed, and then in my opinion peaked in '99. So that even adds to the power, because
Yeah.
as much as I love Vanessa, Heather
Mhm.
Graham teaming up with Mike Myers in that movie changed my brain chemistry, because that was the
Yeah.
first time I ever saw, like, honestly, the archetype of like the femme fatale, and like I saw
Mhm.
Austin Powers movies before I ever saw a Bond movie, which is very weird.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I didn't
That's
realize it was
interesting.
parody. I just thought that was a character that existed
Yeah. Oh my
on his
God,
own.
I love that perspective. I love hearing that, and in a way, it became its own thing. And I agree. I don't. The series didn't necessarily finish strong for me, but, um, and yeah, I recently watched, maybe last year, watched the first Austin Powers, and it's a seminal movie in my life coming up as an entertainer. But you know, you look back, it's like the punch is not as strong as it used to be, and that it's not even that times change and there's humor. It's just it's a different beast. But I really absolutely love it. I love that take on it. That it's like, oh, James Bond, Austin Powers, they're all the same. They're the same
That's
character.
my
Because in a way, it's
favorite.
true.
That's my favorite Mike Myers character, and yeah, I mean, we didn't mention it during television, but I'll do a quick aside just to mention,
Hmm.
Mike isn't in this cast, but let's look at I'm going to read off the '99 SNL cast just for the record, since we moved on from TV.
Oh God, yeah.
'99, the repertory players were Will Ferrell,
Hmm.
Anna Gasteyer, Daryl Hammond, Chris Kattan,
Hmm.
Tim Meadows, Tracy Morgan, Cherry O'Terry, Colin Quinn, Molly Shannon, with featured players Fallon and Sands and Chris Parnell. And
Yeah.
the '99 into 2000, that is pretty consistent,
Hmm.
except Horatio and Fallon get moved up to repertory,
Bumped up.
and then feature players are Rachel Dratch and Maya
Gotcha.
Rudolph.
Oh yeah, I remember Maya's first episode. She played Idalis in an MTV sketch. Uh, Absolutely came straight from the Sunday Company too. Maya Rudolph. Yeah. Oh, that's years, and it's interesting. I look back and it's a great historic cast. But at the time, it was listed. And obviously, 1995 and in '96 was almost the death of SNL. But I love seeing those legends. There's legends, but back then they were like third or fourth year players. They weren't all stars yet.
No, I love this. The Love Guru wasn't your favorite Mike Myers character? You know what, Michael McCarthy? No,
Eh,
but I respect the swing, as they say now a lot.
There's he did that Pentabrith show on Netflix or something last year, which I was
Mhm.
really excited about because that was an inside joke that had gone back to So I Married a Max Murderer and Austin Powers and everything, and it wasn't bad. It actually wasn't bad. It just wasn't of this era, sadly. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah, I think Mike has in him. I don't know him, but my insight is just what he puts out. But I think he has in him that phenomenal return, and I just, whether it's Austin Powers 4, which they've been on and off about for 20 years now,
Yeah, yeah.
whether it's something else, like he has occasional cameos and things like Inglorious
Yeah.
Bastards and Bohemian
Right. Yeah.
Rhapsody.
Mm-hmm.
But Inglorious Bastards is actually legit great. He fits right in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Mike. I think he's we've heard from people over the years that he's a little bit complicated and intense, but like,
He is, and I hope there's some people. And it seems like maybe I listened to the interview on Carvey and Spade's podcast with him about a year ago, and it was a good interview. And the fact
yeah.
that he and Carvey can talk again, yeah, he's unfortunately, yeah, I would put him in that complicated genius category, which is so often was an excuse category, and I think we have less excuses for that as we should. So I hope and
Yes.
he's all gray now, and there was 19 articles on Mike Myers' complete gray hair that he unveiled at a event last week.
Unrecognizable. It's like, no,
Who is that?
That's Mike. I'm pretty sure
Mike Myers.
it's Mike Myers. There is a new Shrek coming. Shrek has
Yeah.
been a constant,
Okay.
and not a '90s thing, but Shrek did start getting made in the '90s, and it would have been Chris Farley, and then he passed.
Yeah, it would have been. Would have been.
Maya's
It's
hosting soon. Yes, Maya, who
yeah.
happens to also be the spouse of Paul Thomas Anderson, who had
That's
Magnolia
right.
this year.
One of my favorites, absolutely favorites. Man, talking about the films too, we could, I mean, quite frankly, should just do an Anytime Movies look at this Anytime at the Movies episode. But yeah, you're talking about those big ones. Obviously, Phantom Menace hangs over us today, released in May of that year. That's why it's being celebrated. And yes, the history of that movie has been well documented. Get it, got it. I've come to love the movie. It means a lot to me, including when I didn't like it. That was a time which I still might write about this. My friend and I saw it. He came down to LA to see it with me with my other friends, and his life changed dramatically on the way home. Had some addiction issues that a lot of us weren't aware, and he eventually, sadly, tragically passed away. I haven't talked to him, and that's one of the last positive memories I have, even though I've knew him for decades after. So Phantom Menace. That year, as despite me going, I don't know, Jar Jar, this and that, it's Star Wars and the theater and the experience in the year. I just remember those warm feelings. But beyond that, Alden, I mean, Matrix, Phantom Menace, being John Malkovich, these are Magnolia, like you said, the spacey film that
American Beauty.
American Beauty, which I saw 6 times in the theater because I absolutely
American
loved it.
Beauty,
I loved watching that bag float around in the wind.
American Pie. I mean, like, we're talking about comedies in terms of iconic comedy actors. That is a different kind of thing. That if we had Austin Powers and other such characters and properties building out of sketch and building out of those comics, American Pie is almost like the birth of what would become the Apatow-esque. Like, I don't think there's not a super bad without an American Pie.
I agree, and you got Freaks and Geeks this year as well on TV.
Yeah, which started several careers, some of whom these people.
Speaking of dramatic schmodown players, yes. The American Pie is an interesting because it wasn't the first of its kind, and it had been had this 90s youth comedy movie movement, but that was, I don't even say the peak of it. I'm not a film historian, but that too is a movie that changed culture for better and worse. Definitely both directions. Definitely a different time. Definitely something we don't champion a lot of things in it, but that's okay. I'm not afraid of a context of eras. But it is. You talk about water cooler moments. Talking about it. It's not just about the pie. It's not just that now the whole world knew the term MILF, which had existed before, but now is on a bigger scale. All those kind of things. Again, good or bad. But that was, everyone saw it and everyone had an opinion of it, and everyone, generally enjoyed it. Weird. I want to dock on American Pie.
It's interesting, and you look at that, the cast, the people that are in it, and where things have gone. I mean, like, seeing American Pie years and years and years ago, and seeing like Natasha Lyonne then, and then Natasha Lyonne now,
right?
It's like it's wild. It's really it's just crazy. I think Jennifer Coolidge, who is sort of just like the butt of a joke in that entire series of just like I slept with your mom, like all that. And now she's having her moment now in the 2020s, way later with White Lotus and things. And
and definitely because that movie had a surgence, forward in their career. She was when I started at the Groundlings, everything. She was still there. She was still performing on the stage.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it was great to see a Groundling. A new Will Ferrell, Sherry Terrell, all these people were exploding out of the Groundlings in a way they hadn't really before. Prior to that, you had Lovitz, you had Conan O'Brien, but it wasn't Lisa Kudrow. But it wasn't to that level. Like Lorraine Newman, and then it was like this big gap in SNL Groundlings people until Lovitz. And it was just, you're seeing them everywhere. It was a lot. And that 99 to 2002 is my involvement with the Groundlings. And it was that I remember a lot about comedy and film in that era from seeing those people go on and do wonderful things.
That's so cool. It really is just incredibly iconic, and also, adjacent to movies and more in news, but should be mentioned in the movie section. 1999 is the year that Gene Siskel passed away.
That's right.
And it marked the ending of what is still the gold standard of the foundations of everything we do in a lot of ways.
Well, what you do? Well, this and that. I don't yell about movies anymore, but let me tell you about no, I do. Guy, you're taking me back to Man on the Moon, I think was 99 too, right? And I loved that trail. I used to just watch, and I had them on, get ready, Alden. I had them on VHS. I had an Entertainment Weekly fall movie preview VHS tape I think whatever fall or summer, whatever it was. And I would just watch the previews for Man on the Moon and Magnolia on repeat. No YouTube for me.
Both extremely Ken movies, but in very different ways.
They are. Oh my God, they're two of my favorites. I haven't watched them in years.
Ken,
but that Magnolia trailer is good. So good.
It's good. I rewatched Magnolia last year for the first time in years, and I was like,
yeah.
I wonder how this hits now. And then I was like, it hits harder that I'm older. It's so good. I lied, by the way. I said I wasn't going to hit the 50 more. I'm not going to read 50 more, but I just tapped it just to see. Deuce Bigalow, The Straight Story. South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut is huge for that.
God,
for
that's crazy.
Moment. I will do it because he already tweeted us complaining and moaning, but here it is. Wild Wild West.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to mention every movie on the list. We don't have to mention every movie on the list.
Stuart Little, oh my God!
I mean, you already mentioned Deuce Bigalow. We don't need to go lower than Deuce Bigalow with Wild.
That is kind of the Bowfinger. Shout out, Steve.
That's one of my favorites. Yep.
Detroit Rock City.
What a crazy year! It's straight. And by the way, Straight Story, David Lynch, really good film. If no one's and shot excellent. In order. Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
good.
Galaxy Quest. Which a shout out to the fandom folks did put out a great doc on Galaxy Quest a few years ago.
That's right.
The Screen Junkies team. So
I got I had already bookmarked this on Twitter. Nikki brought that up in the comments. Nikki Kumar, who is from Imperial Cine Podcast, who we work with as well on Casually Talk. He's a decent guy. He shared his favorite 99 memories, which again, we encourage you, everybody in the comments, drop a 99 memory. Could be personal, could be pop cultural. Nikki wrote, The Mummy, reinforcing bisexuality. United's treble winners, a.k.a. the greatest achievement by an English club to this day. Higher by Creed. M. Night Shyamalan changing the game with a Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense, God, yeah, that's right.
The Wachowskis also changing the game. Sigourney Weaver melting brains because, well, she did look great in Galaxy Quest. Courage the Cowardly Dog. Oh, yes.
The thing is, you could go, you could make the argument. You can go to, and you know what? This sounds, I'm a dork. Every once in a while, I do go to Wikipedia and just type in a year and read what happened. I do this often. You could go to any year and point at a lot of things. I want to be clear. And a lot of it's attached to your youth and where you were and your feeling of the world or just the history of it. I really do think 99 was just one of those. If we're ranking years, if you and I do years explained to the YouTube channel, this is a top 5 year. Good and bad again too. With talking about some of the news, it's insane to look back at how heavy and loaded this year is.
Yeah. I mean, I even pulled up. You know, this is a whole other topic, but just out of curiosity, I typed in 1999 WWF champions, and the image immediately is Rock, Taker, and Stone Cold. It's like, what the hell, man? Like, we didn't know how good it was when it was happening. Not to do the whole, it was so much better, but like, nobody could have realized that history was being made. Like that movies list is like 52 weeks in a year. Every single week that year had something that would live on.
Yeah,
every single time. Crazy.
It was insane.
Futurama chat in here.
Big year for animation. Family Guy, Futurama, picking up the crown. You know, The Simpsons were already in people's eyes starting to wane, and here they are still going, and all the properties are still going in one way or another. But yeah, that was an interesting year too. I remember the first couple Family Guy episodes. I did like it. I haven't watched it much since then, but yeah, it was, again, it was a conversation piece for the youths, all the youths of America, like in Family Guy.
Which is interesting because for our age group, I know I had this a lot. Family Guy and Simpsons were considered like Pepsi and Coke. I don't know if that works as well, but like, because one is, I think, decidedly more R than the other. I think Family Guy is a little bit, more into the offensive, but
it was positioned as such. And I know a lot of Simpsons fans that never took to Family Guy, but I think Family Guy was aware of what it was taking from The Simpsons. They've made several jokes and references to that. It's one of those things of like, this is an homage as well as its own thing, because we're living a post Simpsons world. So yes, animated family on TV. Yes, Simpsons. Got it. They were doing
Yeah.
Flintstones in a way too. Like,
Right.
it's fascinating. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I am going to now. We can go to. Well, why don't you start us on news?
Yeah, we'll take a swing through the news. I do want to. You have some great questions planned here, and yeah, that's the thing too about the year. Again, you can seriously, you all should do it sometime. Just go to Wikipedia, type a random year, and read. It's pretty interesting. But what you're talking about here, we got some stuff that's on the sports world. Michael Jordan retires for the second time. He would retire again for the third time. Wayne Gretzky retires. Whether you're a sports fan or not, when kings of an era or queens of an era retire from sports, like it's definitely it's a marker. It's a social marker. Where Gretzky's not an active player anymore. It's like, what does that even mean? And Jordan, we've kind of been used to, but officially, he does come back in 3 seasons for 2 more years with Washington. But that's there as well. For me, as a Yankee fan, 1999, the Yankees are the top team in baseball again. There's all that kind of stuff going on. But then on the crazier and tragic and sad side, this all ends with Y2K, which we can get to. But along the way, you have a big crash, Egypt Air 990 crash. I do remember that. The JFK Jr. And his wife Carolyn crashing in a incident that the world watched at once. The plane goes missing, and we're all looking, and the curse of that family, the sins of the father. I think going back to JFK's dad, and even beyond, like it's all at play, and it's tragic, but we all couldn't turn away. The Clinton impeachment trial, which is insane to think that is more calmer political times, but it's to go back and look at it now with a different perspective and how Monica Lewinsky was treated and was it's news, it's ripe for discussion, it's ripe for at times parody and satire. I don't think I shy away from that, but to see how we treat women and victims in these kind of situations, I'm glad it's changed. It's not better all the way, of course, but to look back now, even on SNL sketches that I loved, to like kind of feel I don't know how to describe it, the vitriol, to feel the discounting Monica as a human was clear. And that's part of it as well. But the word "if" or no, the word "is" was in the Clinton trying to define the word "is" for an entire month was part of the conversation. The one though that it is a day I do remember, but Columbine happens, and I had worked in the evening times, and so me and my roommates huddled around our little TV watching that play out. And without a doubt, you're part of this generation, Alden. You're part of the one that is post Columbine, where without a doubt there's shootings before, there's tragedies before, but it had never played out like that. I don't think on live on the news as much as that one. And it's definitely dividing. It's definitely a pre and post era for me in terms of shootings, school shootings, and mental health and all the things attached to it. Like, I don't ever hear the word trench coat. I'm not being light or flippant with it. I don't ever hear the word trench coat and not think of that, where before I didn't. It was, and I hate to say it, I hate to attach the word innocent with this horrific historic event, but it's crazy to think we had an innocent view on it then, that this would become the norm. We had no idea that would become the norm. You couldn't possibly fathom that at the time.
Yeah, I guess like it was so, I guess historically we look back on it now and we're like, oh, that's when we started to like give up the soul, of this entire place, this whole country, this whole institution. And you mark them at like Columbine, Virginia Tech, Sandy Hook, MSD now as sort of like, and now Uvalde or Uvalde. I'm not sure how, Uvalde. And those being sort of like the key benchmarks of it. But going back to Columbine, I can imagine, and you can speak to this, was there a feeling of like, this is so freak occurrence that surely it can never happen again?
Yeah, I'm not speaking for everyone, but I had this like, well, that was horrible. Good thing that's behind us, and that does speak to the gun issue and gun control issue, but it also speaks to, I don't know, the term mental health doesn't even begin to fully explain it to me. But where like bullying and what went on and how we treat each other and how we can get cold and then the tidal wave of excuses that come every it's the music, it's the video games, it's this, it's that,
Yeah.
all that stuff. We had that. And at this time, I am in the I'm a youngster, but I'm in the public safety business at this time, and the threat of one person coming to change the lives of 1,000 hanged over my job every day for 17 years. We talked about it every day because it was something that we had to be aware of. But even then you felt, but never again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How could it? How could that? Yeah. And as you pointed out, like all the excuses. Ben Wellington's comment here. I was in my first year of high school when Columbine happened. The Matrix just come out as well with all those trench coats.
Yeah.
That became a thing. Oh, it's the iconography. Yeah. It's the way we dress. We need to make sure we never remind anyone of that because it's the way you dress. And part of it, I'm sure, is we don't want to look like we're building off of it. But then the other thing is, let's demonize alt and goth. Let's demonize any kid that's on the fringe. Like that was a thing with, it's Matrix. It's glorifying it. Sting and WCW, he shouldn't wear the coat anymore. Like we shouldn't do, like, it was grasping for anything.
It's that moral panic that's present all the time that never seems to go away. And there's those that I always say this. I always understand that a starting point of, hey, what is causing it, and could this have anything to, I'm okay with asking those questions, but I think when you dig into it and you go through history, that the moral panic is driven by fear and control and all those kind of things that we can talk about in other times. But yeah, I'm with you, and that was that era too. It was like, will it ever be normal again? But certainly it will, and that's why I'm never afraid of that term, the new normal. And I take issue sometimes with people, even friends and family members, who fight that term, the new normal, because the new normal is a let's rewind the clock before Columbine. Let's rewind the clock before the pandemic. And it's not an acknowledgement of how best to go forward, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, I don't know if you had anything else that you wanted to stop on. I kind of just listed things. I know you. No,
you're listing things is great. The Y2K of it all, and I know you have some questions that you I love that. This is Alden asks Ken about life in 1999. I can't wait to get to that here. As we cross. Well, I was going to say we cross an hour today, but really, actually, 45 minutes. Thanks to my technical error at the start of the show. Y2K, man, crazy stuff. I cannot recommend enough that doc. I'll say it again. Time Bomb Y2K on Max. It's such a relic of that era. It's such a punchline and a joke. And I get it because I make them too. Chris Jericho has outlived the hysteria of Y2K. Y2J is still something he goes by. But it is real. It was felt. It was palpable. And it was a real threat. And it was something they fixed and dealt with. Whether or not planes and stuff would ever fall out of the sky, that I'm not saying could have been, but it was a problem that was addressed, and it became like that Simpsons thing of the meteor coming down to Earth and becoming a pebble no bigger than a chihuahua, and that result gets looked at more than the actual journey to it. It was a time, man, and I know you were alive, but you weren't looking to the skies in 1999.
Not at all, and I've asked my mother about it, before, and she's kind of just like, I remember hearing about it, but like my mom was a nurse, so it's like I think she like her job was already full of worry and busyness. Yeah. When she checked out, she checked out. But I guess it builds into my first question in regards to this is having been a kid, where the threat of the bomb was there. Did Y2K just feel like we're back to this again? For a lot of you guys,
it felt I was. They had and that doc does cover it too, where there's the marketing of it, so to speak. They first needed to get the word out, then they needed to actually change what the word was. Like it's just fascinating that doc. That's why I keep going back to it. But I was cynical. Like I think there was a lot of eye rolling. There was a lot of what. These computers are, what planes are falling out of the sky and everything. That's not going to happen. None of these things happen. So then when it didn't happen, it was all like, see, they're just trying to scare you. A little bit of fake news in an early form. There was a lot of that. And I think that still carried over for several years. it was a naive thing until, and here comes the 9/11 conversation. But then that just a year or so later kind of does this like, oh, this stuff really happens. And now, mind you, there's horrors in the world all over. This is from a young, naive Western perception of, these kind of things don't happen. This is don't be too worried about it. But at the same time, I've told the story maybe even here and other places, Force Center as well. But like on December 31st, 1999, me and an entire staff of public safety officers and like, I don't know, 8 to 10 LAPD cars with all their officers were huddled under the parking structure and in my security office. That was their it was a citywide TAC alert, and that was like the base. That was going to be the operations base, and we all sat there. Now, mind you, the clock has struck midnight on every other time zone in the world, so you kind of maybe knew, but like we're waiting 11:59 and 58, 59, and then nothing happens, and that came the laughter. But like it was everyone was ready to go at that moment. So it was one of those things like and then in the back of your head you're like, but what if? And we all sat there going, well, what if?
That's how I felt last night buying Star Wars Celebration tickets. It was exactly the same thing. It felt like Y2K now. Yeah, that
Good
is
for you. I did not acquire some. So
Ken, we'll talk about this off air, but I will move mountains. There's always a way.
Ain't no mountain high enough. Yeah.
Okay. Exactly. My grandma's favorite song. So shout out Dolores. But it is, it's one of those things where you're right. Like the punchline and then the mythologizing of it. And now it's like, it's a thing that when you explain it now to people, it's so like, you guys thought that? Because the multiple generations now of internet age people, and Chris Jericho, if you're someone who likes wrestling, like you're just like, oh, he was referencing that thing that didn't happen. Like, so it's so weird how removed we are from it. Real quick comment here, Ken Bloom. Good luck with the rest of the show. I'm off to see Phantom Menace like it's 1999. You know what, Ken? I hope it's exactly like the first 3 that George did. I hope you get to see young Darth Vader kill a bunch of people.
Just slice him in two. Like a badass.
Yeah, it is interesting. Now, in terms of, we're also going to touch on music. I want to move music because I know we're also going to do a special 1999 pop rockin'. So we'll touch on music before the end. And I know Maddie Gunner had a music comment in here. Let me give that a star. We'll pull it up after. But yeah, it's. In terms of 1999 overall, now you're already working. There is that, that element of the hysteria with that and your job. What was it like in terms of socializing? Did you have to go out and meet friends? But like really, like, was it like a, hey, Ken, hey, let me call Ken Knapsack's house phone and ask him if he wants to meet me at this bar at this time? Like, what does an average weekend look like at 99?
Yeah, and I wasn't super social. No, you sit on my knee, young Alden, and I'll tell you about the past. Yeah, it was coming home from, if you go out to the grocery store, it was, checking your messages to see if something fun popped up. Did your friend call you and get you going? We did have email was going, so some things could. I don't know. I don't remember e-invites being a big thing, but so some of that communication was going. Yeah, no, it was. I'm very thankful for where we are. I think it makes for a better, social life. And high school for me I graduated in 1994, but it was a distant memory where I'm coming up on my 30th. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it, my 30th reunion. And it's like, I almost don't need to because I talk to these people. I see them. We're associated. But it was a weird 94 to 99 I don't know what happened to those people from my past. You didn't know. It was a weird thing. There was look, even just a couple years later, there was a friend of mine who was really close to me, and then she had moved, and we lost contact, and I couldn't find. This is even in the age of MySpace. It was hard to see what happened to her, and then eventually we reconnected on Facebook. So yeah, there was a little bit about that. And the weekend, talk about what the weekends. It was going to the movies. It was going out. Now, again, 99. I'm 23. I'm not super social. I'm way more social now. I became more social in my 30s, but it was all work friends. It was all those people. It was all people you met. That's how you became those friends. And so you were in those circles and tied to those circles, for better or worse.
I know you said just then that you didn't make some of those connections until Facebook, which is obviously an early 2000s invention. But were you, Matthew Stokes, AOL chat rooms, were you an
Yep.
adopter of early internet as well?
Yeah, once you could get it, like, yeah, I was on Netscape, no, and oh, excuse me, not Netscape. I was on Net Zero, which was $0 a month until they started charging $9.99 a month, and I was like, what money for it? They're charging for internet now? Oh,
You're supposed to change it all.
yeah, and AOL. Used to chat with friends on AOL, and what a weird innocent time. A weird time, but it was fun. Like I can't. That's why I get the power and connection of social media, as dangerous as it can be at times, but as powerful as it is. Look what's going on now this week, and this is just another week in the annals of history that's documented by social media more than anything else. And it was like I could just sit here and chat with my friend Adam. Amazing. Amazing. It was life changing.
Wild. Nick Arcus, did you have a cool pager, Kev?
I did not.
The era of cool pagers?
I did not have a cool
I kind of
pager.
I like the aesthetic of pagers. I always like it when they pop up in films and television. I've always thought whenever you see someone like look down at their belt clip and check one, I'm always like, man, that was cool. We should have kept that around in some way. We ruined
I think my first cell phone was in 2001 or 2.
Nice. Another question here. You mentioned the answering machines, 894M. Was there a big culture involving answering machines like you see in 90s sitcoms?
How do you say you're okay to an answering machine? Replacements, baby. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. Coming up with a witty message and a witty outgoing message. It was dare I say, it was like the Vines and TikTok and Reels of its time, man.
That's such a good comparison. Yeah.
It was artistic expression. And it was,
You're like, I gotta have the perfect bit to describe me.
It's an audience.
And it has to, you're like, I mean, I wasn't there, but I can imagine, especially for creative people like yourself, I gotta have something that plays for all my friends and family. Yeah. I gotta have something that works.
That's gets the message across. Again, people fun of it, but after a while, it was I think a lot of it were sardonic, wry, cynical, hey, you've reached Ken, you know what to do, beep. We've, as a society, we're we don't need to explain the process. My mother, until 2011, was hi, you've reached Alan Debbie Knapsack. We are not here right now, so if you'd like to leave a message at the beep, that eventually went away.
Leave your name, without number, and we'll get back to you.
And we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Without a doubt. But yeah, no, man, it was, and I even that carried over to voicemails. I don't even know. I haven't changed my voicemail outgoing message in 20 years. But Matt Key and I remember Matt Key used to have a great one. He'd change it. And then at one point I was like, Matt, it's too long. I can't, I was like, I'm just going to start texting you now. I'm not even going to call you anymore if you keep having this message. But it was fun, man. It was the thing. And going to get a new phone, a new handheld phone with a new machine. Oh, and then when they went digital, no tapes. Oh my God, life changing, Alden.
And we had a little bit. I don't know if people did it back then with the machines, if it would work as well. But the fake answer. Oh, you were a bastard if you had a fake answer.
I hate
you. Were a bastard.
Someone not too long ago, I called someone on the cell phone and that happened, and I was so pleasantly angry. I was just I haven't fell for that since 2011.
Yeah,
damn you
little trickster. Did you ever have a phone that looked like something else, like a cheeseburger phone? Or
no,
any of those?
No. I wasn't. I wasn't a privileged rich kid. I didn't have no Sports Illustrated football phone. I didn't have that.
I like the. I like Ben Wellington. Sorry, I'm not home right now. I'm walking in the spider webs.
So leave a message and I'll call you back. Yeah. Absolutely. Such a time.
That's great.
Yeah. It was fun.
What a time. Now, on the more emotional, heady side of that, in a time where you couldn't just access a person you were dating or anything like that, did you ever positively or negatively hold on to an answering machine message to connect with something? Was there ever a sad one that you played over and over?
But even little knickknacks and mementos, letters, cards. Oh yeah, we all had those boxes, and you still might. There's good reasons to have those kind of things. That's why. And it's why I do. I'm not going to bemoan the loss of handwritten notes, but there's something pretty powerful about them too. It's something organic. It's something that connects, and I think we do lose a little bit of that connection with that kind of stuff. Because I've got some emails saved. I got my last email correspondence with my uncle, and I'm glad I have it. But those little things. But also, it was what are you holding on to at some point? This letter I wrote this girl in 1995. She never returned the letter, but I have the one she sent to me prior to that. We had a lot of that.
Sound like you're in the war, like you're in the Great War.
Yes.
Hello. I hope I get to see you again, my darling girl.
8984M says, "Hey, Gen Zers have rediscovered snail mail." I think that's great. I didn't know that. Yeah. Is that a trend now? Is that a trend? The post office loves it. If this is a trend, the post office is happy.
I'm not aware of it, but I do think it's very cool if they have. I know that like certain things are coming back. Like a lot of fashion TikTokers right now are like, particularly like women and femme presenting ones, like parting their hair, doing like the butterfly clips and things and everything.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Very, very late 90s, 2000s. So that's cool. We're going to move into music in a second and then do generations before we close. But I wanted to ask in terms of, because we are nerds and, we're not doing a whole Phantom Menace conversation here because we got shows for that. But in terms of the things you were passionate about, you couldn't just log on to a place and find them. So did you have like, I'm going to go to the comic shop, the record store, the this, that, and the other thing to meet up with my people, or we'll do open mics and meet up with those people or whatever else?
No, man, it was, backyard gatherings were great. And I, hung out with a lot of people and coming up to the Groundlings at that time. It was a lot of fun. But I had my group, and I had my two buddies that I moved down here with from high school and college, and it was fun, like going to, it's all a different time, we're all either married or partnered up or everything, but like going to the grocery store is a house, like 3 roommates heading to Ralph's to get food was an event. You talk about being around food people, but going to Tower Records, going to Warehouse. Me and my friend Jay used to meet up, and this is more in the mid 2000s, but we'd go record shopping. It was 2 pals talking about music, and we'd go around to all the different record stores in LA and buy CDs and LPs and whatever you wanted to get. The movie conversation, it wasn't as easy, but it was your friend group. That's why one of the reasons Clerks was so, such a revolution. I think it was this idea of, well, wait, those guys sit around talking about Return of the Jedi like that too? Oh my God, I don't you didn't have the place as much. Forums existed and everything. It was the back of Starlog magazine. I'd love going to like Barnes and Noble. I used to buy stacks and stacks of magazines, and Star Wars Insider, and that's why the premiere magazine, Phantom Menace editions, I still have them in a drawer right over there because it meant a lot. It did connect you to a larger galaxy. That's
great. Now let's talk about music a little bit. Then we'll do we usually close with pop rock, and we could throw that in there. I'm going to not do as many of each list because it's songs and albums. So I'll do top 20 songs, top 20 albums. We got Believe by Cher, No Scrubs by TLC, Angel of Mine by Monica, Heartbreak Hotel, Whitney Houston, featuring Faith Evans and Kelly Price. We got Baby One More Time. I don't even need to tell you who that's by. I mean, come on. That's generational classic. Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer. Genie in a Bottle, Christina Aguilera. Every Morning, Sugar Ray. Nobody's Supposed to Be Here, Deborah Cox. Living La Vida Loca by Ricky Martin. Where My Girl's At, 702. If You Had My Love, J-Lo. Slide by Goo Goo Dolls. Have You Ever, Brandy, I Want It That Way, Backstreet Boys, I'm Your Angel, R. Kelly and Celine Dion. A pairing that sounds like a Mad Lib at this point.
Something Celine probably regrets now. Yeah.
What happened with that? All-Star Smash Mouth. Oh, man. Angel, Sarah McLachlan. Smooth by Santana featuring Rob Thomas, which might have the greatest 52 seconds of music ever recorded. And then the last 52 seconds of Smooth can cure depression. And then
it's a great tune. It's
Unpretty by TLC.
That's great.
It's so wild.
It's not music. I do want to acknowledge this one though. Ethan says, "Have you guys mentioned the fact that Oprah Winfrey may have been at the height of her powers at this time frame?" Yeah. Oprah. Ooh. Oprah was our president. Like it was a crazy time when I wrote a whole sketch based around. Kristen Wiig and I actually wrote a whole sketch based around a couple trying to do a marriage test survey in an Oprah magazine. It was of the time. God, all the music stuff. And this was, I was out of the radio business by this point, and down to LA, and it was a change in the era. I didn't love a lot of the music here. I missed the alt rock of the '90s, and that had started to change. And again, that's a good thing. So what came, Woodstock '99 is here. Check out those docs if you haven't seen those. The Limp Bizkits of it all, the harder edge groups. Male Rage was becoming marketable in a way that it should be analyzed now. But you also had the pop groups, and then you had. I definitely was an Indian Sinker, Backstreet Boys. Hated Britney Spears because what an asshole I would be to hate this young performer coming up. But now I love her because she's so of that time, and the songs are great, man, for what they are and what they needed to be.
So catchy, man.
But it's music. It's I think because I was so into movies and I was so into TV. I watched a lot of TV during this time too because I thought I was going to be a television writer. That I have a lot of memories of music in this time. I didn't. All those songs are mentioned. I did not connect with them. It was not an era in which I was connecting to music.
No, and Maddie Gunner's comment that I starred here, I wanted to bring up in music. Now, this also ties into the albums list. He mentions the Slim Shady LP, Slipknot self-titled, Blink-182, and Enema of the State, Dr. Dre's 2001. Yeah. The list that I pulled up here.
You forgot about Dre, didn't you?
Yeah. Look at you. Good job. The DJ lives still in your soul. Number one, they had the Slim Shady LP, Most Def with Black on Both Sides, the Flaming Lips with the Soft Bulletin, Britney with Baby One More Time. The fact that that's her debut is kind of insane in retrospect. MF Doom with Operation Doomsday, The Roots with Things Fall Apart, Sleater Kinney with the Hot Rock, Magnetic Fields, 69 Love Songs, Destiny's Child, The Writings on the Wall. I'm going to skip around because it's such a mess. Dixie Chicks Fly, Mariah Carey Rainbow. We had Santana, Red Hot Chili Peppers Californication is on that list.
Wow.
The Battle of Los Angeles by Rage Against the Machine, 9 Inch Nails, The Fragile, Neurosis, Times of Grace. It is a huge list. Huge. Genuine.
Yes. Genuine. Oh God. Yeah. And Maddie's list, like I didn't connect with any of those. Like I really, that was, some of it is that, it's fine. It's not necessarily meant for you, or it's not from, you don't have a shared upbringing perspective or whatever you want. So it's hard to connect to different types of music. But like, I railed against Blink-182. Blink-182 was at the end of my radio days. We were playing some of the early stuff. At least they had guitars and bass and drums and things I like. But like, my roommate, about 2001 or so, literally jeans and a T-shirt, goes to the mall and comes back with everything at Hot Topic in the world. And suddenly was dressing like Mark Hoppus. And it was just like, what? What happened?
That's amazing. That's so good.
That necklace of like the silver pearl, silver balls all the day, all that stuff. And I had a bunch of friends with the frosted tips and the puka shell necklaces and everything. I remember that. I didn't go with the trends, which maybe I should have a little bit more, but I was a fish out of water in some respects. But God,
when did Hot Topic start? Hot Topic was birthed in much earlier than I thought. Hot Topic is 89. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. Different era. Yeah, it was more the mall goth kids and all that stuff. And then
God, I love Hot Topic. I don't think you understand, man.
You what, the Hot Topic?
Not that you don't understand Hot Topic. I don't think you understand how much it informed me. Like Hot Topic, like walking past it in the mall was like, I want to be there, but I'm not.
It was what era would that be? It'd almost be around. Yeah, it almost be because I was in the height of the malls. The 2000s. That was for a while. Mid 2000s, I was at Farmers Market in the Grove in LA, which was a different feeling. But yeah, dude, it was a Hot Topic. It's corporate, man. Of course it is. But it was like it was almost an us versus them mentality of the security guards walking by. But then you had but I thought they were kind of cool, and it was the thing, man. It was a happening place, dude.
Ken was a security guy who knew. Deep down in me is a Hot Topic kid somewhere in there, or at least an affinity for Hot Topic kids. I mean, you're engaged to a Hot Topic kid.
Deep down inside me is a guy who'd wear a purple beanie on an internet show as I'd walk
Hell
by.
yeah. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
but
Now,
a lot of that was buried, which ties into the Phantom Menace of it all, which is like that was crazy to be like Star Wars is back, and that has some sort of social currency that I had to give up for years. For 16 years, I had to keep it. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Like Star Wars, as big as it was still not. You didn't talk about it a lot. It was still. That's why again, Clerks. Kevin Smith comes out and they're talking about the contractors on the Death Star. Silly that conversation is. It was like, whoa, someone mentioned Star Wars, and they talk about it the way I do. That was big.
and now, like, yeah, 99, like, Phantom Menace comes out. That footage is going around of the release party at Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah.
And, like, the people that are there, it's insane. Like, Ryan Reynolds, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Seth Green. Like,
wow.
if you were hot in the 90s in any way, not physically, but just like a hot commodity, you were there. DiCaprio at Toys R Us buying his figures. Like, it was.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
I've always wondered. I want to know which one he was at. If it was at LA based, because there's a good chance he was at the Porter Ranch one. If he was in LA where I was waiting in line, because it was one of the only Toys R Us's in that neck of the woods.
What's really fascinating about this, and this is if I ever meet the man, I will ask him. I swear to God, is that it's documented that he was in talks for Anakin in some way, and that. I guess maybe before they decided to go younger, obviously. And had he been that teen heartthrob Anakin that never was, does that mean he read a script? And if so, is that what compelled him to buy these toys? Like maybe he was like, I passed on that part, but that script was still fucking awesome. I'm going to buy the toys. Like, who knows what made him still want to engage after turning it down?
It's because it's still Star Wars. This has been wonderful. Do you have anything else? We can get to generations here. I do have another one of those meetings coming my way, but I got some questions for you.
Sure. Do you want to do your lyric now or at the end? I don't know if you wanted to tie it in music or.
We can do it at the end. We can send it off there. Right. But yeah, we like playing this game. Generations, the official name to be decided at some point, but this might just be it. Alden and I prepare about 5 questions for each other that are about our generations or our experiences growing up. Sometimes it's trivia, sometimes it's lived in experience, and we try to see how much are we plugged into each other's generations. I usually lose because Alden is one of those kids who knows his history well.
We'll see what happens this time. And this time I tried to spread the topics, the areas. I started with a 99 one, and then I have some more general ones. So
okay, I'm all in 99, and we'll see. You're going to do you're going to be a home run hitter here. I guess. All right. Go hit me. Oh, I'll go. Okay, I'll go. No, I'll go. All right. 1999, late 90s era conversations here and generation questions. What did you use Ask Jeeves for?
Oh, I loved Ask Jeeves. That I actually know. Ask Jeeves was sort of like a pre-Google search engine, or maybe not pre-Google, but simultaneous.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is now they decided to kill Jeeves for some dumb reason. Getting rid of. Okay. Let me just say this. This is the hill I'm dying on today. Getting rid of Jeeves was like turning HBO Max into Max. Like it was like the original example on the internet of like, why the fuck are you getting rid of your identity? Like that made no sense.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's an easy question. Softball. All right, hit me. What do you got?
This one, I'm going to read a sentence, a little riddle that I wrote, and then you tell me where person. The fight started in 1999, and then it became a melee, a brawl, and finally its ultimate version. Which game franchise am I describing here?
I'm going to say Pokemon.
No, but I mean, it's not that it has nothing to do with Pokemon. Okay. The answer is Super Smash Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
So Super Smash Brothers starts in 99, and then they did Super Smash Brothers Melee, Super Smash Brothers Brawl, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. And
wow. Yeah, see, I never played it.
Yeah, and that includes Pikachu as one of its characters. It's Nintendo's mega crossover fighting game.
Okay.
Generation.
I love that. So I'm down 1. You're up 1 here. All right, I'm going to give you some names. You would choose one of these names to do what? Rune Glifberg, Bucky Lasik, Elisa Steamer, Kareem Campbell, or Chad Muska?
My God. These sound like personal injury attorneys. I have no idea who these people are. These sound like
names.
made up people.
I'll give you some names. You would choose one to do what? Rune Glifberg, Bucky Lasik, Elisa Steamer, Kareem Campbell, or Chad Muska. Okay. Final answer?
God. Yeah, my final answer is that these are sketch characters or criminals. I don't know.
As Maddie Gutter says, a whole list of goats. Those are skaters you would choose for Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Oh!
Came out in 1999. Real people, real skaters.
Wow. Yeah, asking me any skater that is not Tony Hawk himself. I was never gonna get that. That's a great question though. That's very funny.
All right, I'm up. I feel good. I stumped you at least once. Okay.
This one was submitted by an Anytime listener. Submitted by
Love it. Okay.
Can you tell me which film or show features the line "Get in, loser, we're going shopping"?
No, but I'm gonna guess. I'm going to say She's All That.
You're in the ballpark, but the answer, unless you want to throw out another guess.
No. Well, Clueless. It's not.
That's actually even closer. You could call this movie Clueless's daughter. It is Mean Girls.
I've only seen Mean Girls once. I liked it. It didn't move the needle for me as much as that. So that's amazing. That makes a lot of sense. But it's that's all connected. That connects.
Absolutely. It's definitely in that tradition for sure.
So we're 1 for 1 here, right? Okay. All right. Maddie's just gonna
offended that I didn't know these skaters.
I'll admit this. This is almost for this makes me think you and I should turn this segment into its own show where we have guests on, because it's a deeper trivia answer, and I really understand. So I apologize, but I don't know, because you might know. What's the connection between the Medal of Honor video game first released in 1999 and Rogue One: A Star Wars Story?
Michael Giacchino.
God damn it, you're good.
And it's because that greater friend group of like Giacchino and JJ working in and around Spielberg's world has become as a good part of Spielberg lore that I enjoy, and I became fans of JJ later on. But like I think I became a JJ fan and like knew who he was, obviously Star Trek, and then was like, oh, he did that Felicity show, like started to connect the dots. But there's that great story that Giacchino told, I think, in the Werewolf by Night behind the scenes, where he says that Spielberg heard the game music and was like, showed up to work and was like, get me those guys. Who are those guys? And they thought they were in trouble. Then Spielberg brings them in and is like, I want you to do music for whatever it was.
That's amazing. It's amazing. Good stuff. You got it. All right.
The next time you see Michael pull this clip and let him know that I represented.
Yes, the next time at the Rainbow Room with Michael, I will bring this up on the internet. All right. That's my third. Yeah,
and also
that's my third.
Medal of Honor. Can we just say real quick? Underrated, got hugely eclipsed by Call of Duty, but those were fun games.
I enjoyed Medal of Honor. I played 1 and 2 a lot. All right, I think you're up. That was my third.
Final one for me.
Okay.
The word razor wasn't just used for those sexy cell phones, although they were really sexy. What other razors did a lot of us have as 90s and 2000s kids?
Oh, Razor scooters, man.
Yeah.
Razor scooters, yeah. I never had one. You don't put me on 2 wheels with no railing, so I don't do those. But yeah, I used to love watching I was impressed with the Razor scooter moves kids would do. Good for
Razor scooters, cool as hell. I had one with little blue, like translucent blue wheels, which I thought were the coolest fucking things in the world. And I will say, it's documented fact that the most painful thing in the world outside of childbirth is stepping on a Lego. Second after that, though, is when a Razor scooter comes all the way around into your ankle.
Into your ankles. Yes. That's what would happen to me. I used to see them we used to chase kids around on Razor scooters at the mall, getting our golf carts and chasing them or our bikes. Love that. All right, so you said that's your final one for me?
That's the end.
Okay, so I have a few more, but I'm going to ask my last official one. Then I got 2 bonus ones we can have fun with. What color does Eiffel 65 make you feel?
Eiffel 65. I don't
What
know. I don't
color
know.
does Eiffel 65 make you feel?
I'm going to guess blue, but I don't know what Eiffel 65 is.
You got the point. Blue,
I got the point by
Abu Da. Blue.
Oh,
That's their song.
that's the name of that group.
Yep.
That's
Eiffel 65.
Crazy.
Yep.
I don't think I ever knew
Yeah.
that there were people that made like it just like never occurred to me that there was more. Like, do they have other albums? I don't know. Like,
love that. Absolute banger, says Matthew Stokes. Big Michael Garcel, Blue McKay, Iron Man 3 song. I didn't know it was an Iron Man 3. All right. Okay. So you did there. That was our game, but 2 bonus ones here. Someone mentioned it. I thought we were going to get to it. I didn't think this was going to be used. 1999 is remembered for changing the music industry because of one thing. What was that thing?
Well, in the news section, I know I jotted down the Universal thing. That's not what you're referring to.
The merger between Universal Music Group. Yeah, nope.
Yeah,
one thing that debuted in 1999, I think in June, changed the music industry forever.
Is that when Napster started?
That's when Napster started. Yeah.
Okay. I thought Napster might have been a 2000s thing, but that makes sense.
Well, it would go away soon in 2001, and Kazaa and all those things come up. But then, then Apple's like, crap, let's get in on this, and then Metallica sues. All right, final one. This is I think I've even mentioned this before, but all right. Why we were all looking to the skies on the eve of Y2K. Who slipped in the back door and into a position of power on December 31st, 1999?
While you were all looking at the skies during the Y2K situation, who
on Y2K Eve,
December
31st,
who slipped in to power? There was a lot of slipping into power that year. I mean, we had Sheev Palpatine,
Sheev
becoming chancellor.
Not unlike Not unlike Sheev. Yeah.
There was the changeover of power with Mandela stepping down.
Is that your final answer?
No, I don't think that counts as a slip into power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is this I'm gonna guess Putin. Is this pre-Putin? I don't know. It might be before Putin.
It is. Boris Yeltsin resigns under pressure, and one of his top aides, Vladimir Putin, becomes the president of Russia.
It's been that many years.
It's been that many years.
Gun to my head, if you had said how long has Putin been in power, I would probably say 15 or 20 years. I did not know it was 25.
And, I think his titles changed. It was a couple of years, and he got back in where he is now. But yeah, he's always been in power. And I tell the story, and I'm not, I'm not a seer. I'm not, Nostradamus. But I was watching the news in that security office, maybe an hour or so till midnight. And ABC News was like, by the way, Boris Yeltsin, and here's his replacement, Vladimir Putin. And I was like, I don't like that guy. I literally was like, anyone else get vibes? I was like, is this part of the end of the world? Like, that looks like the Antichrist. Like, I just remember, and everyone's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm not saying I'm right or predicted it, but I'll never forget the moment when they broke out. I think it was Peter Jennings breaking in on ABC News to say new president of Russia. And here we are, 25 years later, and that name is more powerful than even it was then. So crazy times.
Ken did one of the original. He did not pass the vibe check.
He did not.
Vladimir Putin.
But also, and I was much more steeped in my religion stuff back then. But it's like we got the world ending at midnight. We've got planes are going to drop from the sky, and then suddenly this European leader is like showing up, going like, "I'd love to take it back to the old days." Like, it was a weird time. Crazy. Wow.
Amazing.
Crazy. Matthew Stokes says he looked like the henchman from with Russia with Love. Absolutely. Jack Call calls me Kendra Damas. The only thing I got right. Well, that is almost it. Alden, this was a lot of fun. I think you and I both needed this kind of look at the world as we go out and face the real world today. But that includes a lot of fun. I'm putting on my Phantom Menace pens from our buddies Alex and Steve at Black Stars Rebels and getting ready to go see the Phantom Menace. A lot of fun. Before we do, as we always do around these parts, we leave with a pop rock and word of wisdom. This is sponsored by my radio show on Mixcloud. Pop Rockin' Radio. Check out live episodes every Saturday night or listen to them on demand. Over 100 there for you to choose from now. And Alden, they didn't come up at all today, but I was trying to think. You have a wonderful list of songs pulled from history that do encapsulate 1999. But I was thinking, what makes me feel? And there was someone in chat, it might have been Matthew Stokes, that talked about 1999 being this last gasp of kind of historical innocence, that yes, stuff was happening, but they're collectively. Y2K was the first step. Putin, next step. The horrors of 9/11 and what that would do to us as a country and the mistakes the world has forever changed, right? And 1999 is this last gasp of we're all right. What a decade. That was fun. And that is our pop rock and word of wisdom. It's from Len, the Canadian brothers, Mark and Sharon Costanzo and their band. And this is the Sharon verse. I was frying on the beach, sledding in the park across the street. LATER that week. My sticky paws were in the making straws out of big fat slurpy treats. An incredible 8-foot heap. Now the funny glare to play a gleaming terror to stare at under heat, involved in unusual feat. And I'm not only among, but I invite you, I want to come. So I missed a million miles of fun. Len, Steal My Sunshine. I contend, one of the greatest songs of all time.
Would you like to know something behind the scenes about this moment?
I would.
Today, I think, was the first time I heard that song. when you put the lyric into the show notes, I was like, I don't think I know what that is. And I looked it up. So I learned
Steal
something.
My Sunshine. Go watch that video and repeat today. Sharon is just adorable. She's singing along. I think she even settled in LA. The band this is not a song that the band normally did. It was one of those, like, they took a How Do You Like It riff and they turned it into this. And they're like, well, this guy, I don't know. We won't put this out. It became one of the biggest songs of all time in terms of sales and singles. And then they went on tour and they were, of course, everyone, and then they were just like, this ain't us. And they walked away from it all. It's an interesting and actually inspiring artistic story, but it's still a damn great song. And you absolutely need to go watch that video and repeat today. I order you to. Because I know you're going through a lot, Alden, and the whole world's going through. We're all struggling. That song, you're going to get the vibe. You're going to get the vibe.
On my way to Phantom Menace, I will be bumping that song. And then I'll go grab a Slurpee or an Icy or whatever, and some Pizza Hut, and I will immerse myself in the culture.
There you go. There you go. Well, we did it despite a false start. Thanks to everyone who carried over to the new stream after StreamYard kicked me out of the first one there. We're all right. This is a lot of fun. Hey, keep your heads up out there. That's my final word. There's always a lot of things going on. And plug in, pay attention so you don't have that naive history look at what's going on now and what's going on in the future. But also don't forget to enjoy things and go on out and steal someone's sunshine. Oh, wait, that doesn't work. You know what I mean. Alden, your final word.
My final word is in the immortal words of a man we all know and love. Jar Jar is the key to all of this. You have a great weekend, everyone. See you at the movies.
Beautiful. Misa likes. See you, friends.